Hello, this is Dr. Garcia, again continuing on our course of quantum healing, and we have now gone from the physical to the emotional, and now we are on the mental healing, which is very, very important because the latest information is that the major cause of disease is mental stress. And so that has to be part of the healing program. But first of all, let's get down to the essence of the problem, as well as where quantum physics was discovered in 1927 by 5 Nobel Prize laureates. There was Einstein, Wolfgang Pauli, and there was Niels Bohr and his standard model, Schrodinger and his wave model, which proved that your thoughts can change the reality. And we will get into that later. And then we have Heisenberg and his uncertainty principle, which is also a premise of quantum physics, is that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And that's where I've been doing most of my research, to use that option at the source of being and use it and influence it for physical, emotional, and mental healing. So here we go. Now we get to I'm going to try to explain quantum physics to you as I understand it, and there are not too many people that understand quantum physics. Richard Feynman, the greatest mind since Einstein, Nobel laureate, he was asked point blank in a lecture at Caltech by a student, Dr. Feynman, do you understand quantum physics? And he said, no, I don't, and I doubt that anybody else does. Okay? Anyway, quantum physics is counterintuitive, and I think the reason I understand it is because I have studied the people that definitely understood it. Aristotle, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Lao Tse, they all understood quantum physics, and that's the difference. But my difference from them is I can prove it with math and physics, and if you go to my website, Dr. Garcia Quantum Healing.com, and go to quantum healing, there is the equation that proves that my concept of quantum physics, and especially as it pertains to mind medicine and thought science, is the way. Anyway, because Einstein and Newton and Hawking, they all missed two things. Number one, they couldn't deal with gravity. My equation deals with gravity. And also, they completely missed probably the most important force in the universe, which is consciousness. My equation includes everything. Anyway, moving on, we get to the very smallest denominator of matter. It's actually energy. It's called a quantum. And that's why we talk about quantum physics. It's the smallest smallest denominator of mass matter, and it turns out it has two properties. One is particulate, and one is wave and energy. And mostly the energy is a probability wave. It's described in Heisenberg's chaos theory. Anyway, the importance of describing this wave particulate nature of matter is also the Chinese talk about the yin and the yang. The yin being Mother Earth, hard, particle, and yang being the Spirit, the Father, energy. Okay, and that's the way it plays out in the true nature of matter. Is you have energy and particulate, but the most incredible thing is that you have the wave nature, and when you don't, the human consciousness and perception measuring collapses the wave and then we have what we all consider reality. But all the sages have said, basically, don't collapse the wave. And Jesus talks about this state of consciousness, which is, in my research, is shown to be the alpha state of consciousness. And Jesus talks about, my kingdom is not of this world. And Krishna talks about being an independent observer. What they're all saying, and Jesus again talks about being a passerby. Aristotle says, when consciousness perceives itself, you're at the source of all being. The important thing that they're all saying is to be rather than think and do all the time. And when you are being, then you are in coherence with the universe. And I'm going to explain that shortly. But the double slit experiment, this proves that consciousness and perception collapses the wave, and we end up with what we call reality. So the key is not to collapse the wave. And you're living in a different reality, a different consciousness. And now we move on to the importance of being in the non-collapsed wave state of consciousness. And basically, that's also the meditative state. It's called the alpha state. And we know the exact frequency, which is 7 to 8 hertz. Alpha state. And that's the meditative state. And science has proven over and over again that the meditative state is very healing to body and mind, and it is the most restful state that you can be in. And in the meditative state, you have profound changes in your physiology, including secretion of very important beneficial hormones, growth hormone for one. So meditation, 7 to 8 hertz, alpha state, is a good place to be. And I've been meditating for many years. And unfortunately, I tried to teach my patients how to do it, but it's difficult for them. But I have now come up with a very, very simple technique that I'm going to teach you tonight, how to get into the alpha state, deep Zen meditation, in 20 seconds. Here we go. So we're talking about the alpha state. It just so happens that same alpha state, 7 to 8 hertz, is the same thing that athletes call the zone. It takes an athlete 10,000 hours of practice to be able to get into the zone. 7 to 8 hertz. Now, segue. Nicodemus asked Jesus, how do I get to heaven? Jesus says, you get to heaven as a child. Well, I was a pediatrician. Children under 5 years old are in the alpha state. So we have meditation, we have the zone, and we have a small children's state of consciousness. Okay? Now that's all 7 to 8 hertz alpha state. That same frequency is found in the sun, a blade of grass, in your heart, and in the Schumann wave that surrounds the earth. It's my opinion that I have discovered the code of the universe, the frequency of the universe. We're all vibrational, and my hero is, I think the greatest mind ever, was Nikola Tesla. And he said, to understand the universe, you must know energy, frequency, and vibration. So if we have the frequency of the universe, 7 to 8 hertz, then wouldn't it be natural that if we arrived at that frequency of consciousness, we would be in unison with the universe, and that's healing, physically and mentally. And indeed it is. And there's even another benefit to being in that state of being. Okay, Heisenberg and his uncertainty principle, 1927, he proved chaos theory, but he didn't know it, but he also proved the existence of a zero-point field. A field that is full of energy and also knowledge. That's where Einstein and Newton were wrong. They thought empty space was empty. It's not. It's full of energy and knowledge. And the Chinese have known this for 1,000 years, 5,000 years, that they call it chi. The Indians, they call it prana, and the devout Christians, they call it the Holy Spirit. They know something's there, and there is. It's the quantum field. And what I have done and am doing in my research is, once I discovered the frequency of the universe, 7 to 8 hertz, then I thought, now I want to be able to get my patients into that same frequency. And I was immediately given the answer, and this is the answer. Okay, so you want to get to the meditative state. Meditation is a non-thinking reality. And all these other pseudo neuroscientists, they don't know what meditation is. Meditation is not thinking. They talk about positive thinking, forgiveness. No, meditation is not thinking. When you're not thinking, you're in the alpha state of being. When the super athletes and prima ballerinas, when they're doing their thing, they're not thinking. Children, when they're playing, they're not thinking, they're in the being. And this is the major problem that's happening in our society today that can and must be treated, because again, 75 to 98% of all physical, mental, and behavioral disease is caused by mental stress. And I'm board certified in pain management, and I was amazed to hear that if you hurt your back, I can fix it if you have structural damage with prolotherapy. But the major cause of back pain is stress and also job dissatisfaction. This is all research and data that's coming out. And my interest now is mind medicine, thought science, because the very latest in research tells us that our thoughts influence our genes, and the genes are producing proteins. Our thoughts, which are electromagnetic energy, are producing protein, which the genes manufacture. So a thought produces neurons in your brain. So basically, we've all heard the concept mind over matter. Well, quantum physics proves exactly that. Mind over matter. Most people think their way into disease, and I am developing a technique to not think your way out of disease. It's called getting into the alpha state of being, because the problem that mankind was saddled with, and I don't know who's the fault, but we evolved not to be happy, but to survive. And because we evolved to survive, we're always kind of scared, frightened, uptight, anxious, and so that it's called a sympathetic predispositions. We're always kind of on a high idle, and then when we do fixate on something of fear, then we get into the fight or fright, the adrenaline, and all these are very harmful to our physical body, our emotional body, and our mental body. Again, thoughts influence structure and function of the brain. The brain is a meat computer, runs the body, no discussion. The mind runs the brain. The mind is reprogrammable, and that's what my research that I'm doing is learning and teaching my patients how to reprogram their mind so that instead of causing damage to their body via the brain, they're healing the body. And this is very, very factual. And some of the people that you should look up, Eric Kandel, Nobel Prize laureate for his work in neuropsychiatric biology, and he showed that thoughts do influence the genetic structures and through a process called epigenetics, which is the environment influences the genes produce the coding that produces the protein, which produces the matter. So the electromagnetic energy from thoughts do have an influence on gene expression and therefore protein synthesis. So we are producing disease in our body with our mind. And I have developed a technique that I've taught my patients, and I've had some incredible results. Here we go. The key is to get into the alpha state, a non-thinking reality. So here's what I teach my patients. Sit in an upright position. A lot of this has to do with Hindu and Ayurvedic medicine, and also Oriental medicine, Greek influence, etc. And also Egyptian. It's all in there. Put it all together. But here it is, sitting at right angles. And now we want to start breathing. Inhale, belly goes out. Inhale, belly goes out. Now also take your eyes and just look above the horizon. So the posture, the breathing, and the visual focus all bring your chakras into alignment. And now you are a conduit of Mother Earth, which is the yin energy, and Father Heaven, which is the yang energy. And this is a Chinese explanation of who we are, what we are. And in all my studies of all the different religions, cultures, and medical traditions, the Chinese are number one. They knew that disease is caused by energy imbalance, and so the way to heal is through energy. So the best energy is the energy of the universe. That's the alpha state of being. So we're taking deep breaths. Our eyes are right above the horizon, and now we become aware of our awareness. Aware of our awareness. Breathe out, breathe in, eyes locked, aware of our awareness. When you're aware of your awareness, you cannot be thinking. You're in the alpha state of being. Voila. And then when you're in the alpha state of being, you not only are in coherence with the whole universe, like a bell. You know, like bells, they all end up chiming at the same vibration. Everything's vibrational, Nikola Tesla. And so you're in vibrational harmony with the universe. That may be considered oneness. So moving on, now the frosting on the cake is when you're in that state of being, which I try to stay in most of the time, then you also have access to the quantum field, which is infinite knowledge, infinite energy. That's the same frequency, 7 to 8 hertz. You're in the alpha state of being, 7 to 8 hertz. You're in communication, and that's where miracles are formed. And that's how I came up with my equation of everything. Thank you so much, and stay tuned. There will be more videos on these and other important quantum healing techniques. Wow.